Fordham University started playing football in 1881. Fordham is a Jesuit Catholic university in the Bronx in New York. They are known as the Rams. They're not currently known for their football team. But the Fordham Rams were all about football glory during the years of 1929 to 1942, a period in which they had 88 wins, 20 losses, and 12 ties for a 783 winning percentage, a winning percentage that was only bettered by Alabama over that period of time. They had one of the most interesting nicknames in all of college football history, the Seven Blocks of Granite. They had an extremely odd rivalry with Pittsburgh. They were in the first football game ever televised. And to top all that, they destroyed their own football program after World War II. Sound enticing? I hope so. In the 1930s, the Fordham Rams were consistently a national football power due to the arrival of coach Frank Iron Major William Cavanaugh. Cavanaugh had arrived in 1927. He had served in World War I and was nearly blinded by shrapnel. His wounds earned him the nickname the Iron Major, which became the title of a 1943 movie based on his life and starred Pat O'Brien. Cavanaugh began his coaching career at Dartmouth in 1911, moved to Boston College in 1919, and then went to Fordham 8 years later. Within 2 years at Fordham, Cavanaugh had an undefeated team. In 1930, he lost only one game. In his last 4 years at Fordham, his record was 27-4-4. But by 1932, he was virtually blind from his war wounds. Aided by William Joy, his assistant, he continued to attend practices and games more as a counselor than as a coach. Cavanaugh, who deserves a video of his own, resigned in 1932, replaced by sleepy Jim Crowley. Crowley had become famous at one of the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame, where he played halfback from 1922 to 1924. Crowley continued Cavanaugh's success, coaching Fordham from 1933 to 1941 and going 56-13-7 in the process. He was surpassed at that time only by Minnesota's 58-9-5 record and Alabama going 68-11-6. So where does the nickname Seven Blocks of Granite come in? One story says that in 1936, school publicist Timothy Cohane wanted to find a nickname to assign to the Fordham Rams so they would gain more public recognition. But I found a newspaper from 1930 that included a photo with the caption, "Fordham's 7 Human Blocks of Granite." The line that has defied the attacks of Baltimore, Buffalo, Boston College, Holy Cross, holding these teams scoreless. So the nickname was clearly around earlier than 1936. Cohane had also tried using the nickname Seven Samsons, but it didn't stick. Now note the earlier photo's title of Fordham's Stone Wall. In 1936, famed sports writer Grantland Rice, who had come up with the Four Horsemen nickname, wrote an article that included the lines, "Great mighty Minnesota fell upon a bitter day. Both Yale and Army caught the axe and tossed their crowns away. Big Holy Cross and Early Boss, here's no more winning bands. Yes, strange things happened everywhere, but the Fordham Wall still stands. Yes, Carthage ruled an ancient coast, but where is Carthage now? The Grecian phalanx no more wears the winning olive bough. And where is Persia's ruling host that ruled all warring lands? Her day is done by shade and sun, but the Fordham Wall still stands. Who took the thrust of SMU and rolled its chargers back? Who stood the gales upon their heels and broke up each attack? Who stopped young Goldberg at the line with willing hearts and hands? The answer rings from coast to coast. The Fordham Wall still stands. Over the course of 3 years, from 1935 to 1937, the Seven Blocks of Granite gained a combined mark of 18-2-5. The 1936 team might have gone to the Rose Bowl, but they tied with Georgia, then lost 7-6 to the not very good New York University Violets at the end of the season. The 1936 Seven Blocks of Granite included some guy named Vince Lombardi. You might have heard of him. He was a senior in 1936. From Vince Lombardi, His Life and Times by Robert W. Wells, published in 1971. Riding the bus to the stadium with Lombardi leading the songs, the team was full of confidence, or perhaps overconfidence. The talk was not as much of NYU as of the Rose Bowl. For Vince and the other seniors, the trip to the West Coast would be a glorious climax to their college playing days. The best Fordham could do was a pair of field goals. If the 7 Blocks of Granite could do as well as they had against Pitt, SMU, and Purdue, the 6 points would be plenty. But they were not able to keep the NYU team scoreless. It was of some slight satisfaction that the touchdown wasn't scored through the line, the runner squirting around the end of the granite wall, but the final score was 7-6. There might have been another reason besides overconfidence. From the book about Lombardi, entitled When Pride Still Mattered, by David Marinis, published in 1999. To Lombardi and several other Rams, it appeared again that a few Fordham players had not put forth maximum effort. Some of our better players were completely sour, Lombardi said. What happened? Was it overconfidence that did them in? No. There was more to it than that, a dirty little secret that would haunt the team for years. For several weeks of that Depression-era season, some Fordham players had been sneaking off to New Jersey on Sundays to play for modest pay under fictitious names in a semi-pro league. Francis Calkin, then the student manager for the football team, recalled that it was common knowledge that some of the guys would scoot over someplace to play on Sunday. Dick Healy, an end on the team, remembered that several of the guys were hurt in the semi-pro game the Sunday before the NYU game. Ed Franco was hurt in that game, but they covered it up. Handy Andy Paolu grimaced in pain when asked about the incident more than 6 decades later. This is my best imitation of Handy Andy Paolu. Sure, it's true, he said. Geez, it's true. 3 linemen and 1 back. Can't say who, not Vinny. That's probably why we lost. Yeah, oh Jesus. Some of the players were banged up and they were pooped. And it's a shame. A shame. I sure was pissed off when I found out about it. A chance to go to the Rose Bowl, and they screwed it up. Lombardi would later say the New York University loss was the most painful loss he ever experienced. 1936 was a seminal year in college football. The AP poll, the Associated Press poll, was born. Minnesota won the first real championship, at least that's how I look at it, followed by LSU and then Pittsburgh. Fordham finished 15th. The 1937 Fordham team went 7-0-1. Their only blemish was tying rival Pitt in the 3rd game of the season. They held opponents to 5 shutouts and allowed 16 points all season long. In a really weird fashion, it was the 3rd scoreless tie in a row for the Fordham-Pitt game. Now, there was a score nearly in 1937, but Pitt's Mad Marshall Goldberg had a touchdown run called back because of holding. Pitt was the better team according to the newspapers, but had 8 fumbles. Fordham missed 3 field goals, and hence the scoreless tie. Again, the 3-year streak of scoreless ties won the AP poll's Oddity of the Year in 1937, as they used to vote on such things. The last 1937 AP college football poll had Pittsburgh at number 1, California at number 2, and Fordham at number 3. The most famous 7 Blocks of Granite line was the 1936 team. The line consisted of, from left to right end, Leo Paquin, Ed Franco, Nat Pierce, Alex Wojciechowicz, Vince Lombardi, Al Babarski, and Johnny Drews. Players in those days played both ways, so the offensive line was the defensive line. And I'd like to thank Barney Miller, one of the greatest sitcoms ever, for being able to pronounce Wojciechowicz. Otherwise, I would have just left it out of this video. The 7 Blocks of Granite line coach was Frank Leahy, who later went on to coach Notre Dame, winning 4 national titles and compiling a 107-13-9 record over 11 seasons. Notre Dame football shut down from 1943 to 1946 because of the pesky business of World War II. Vince Lombardi would go on to be one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, winning 5 NFL championships in 7 years, including the first 2 Super Bowls. The Super Bowl trophy is named for him, and he might have ended up the greatest coach in NFL history were it not for his life being cut short at the age of 57 due to cancer. Alex Wojciechowicz was the most famous block of granite during his college playing days. Wojciechowicz was a consensus All-American in both 1936 and 1937 and finished fourth in the Heisman Trophy voting in 1937. He was the number one draft choice of the Detroit Lions, for whom he played from 1938 to 1946 before finishing his NFL career with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was voted in as a charter member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1968. The Seven Blocks of Granite never got to play in bowl games, but as the team went on, Fordham in 1941 lost in the Cotton Bowl to Texas A&M 13-12 and beat Missouri in the Sugar Bowl 2-0 in 1942. As I said earlier, Fordham was in the first game ever televised on September 30th, 1939 against Waynesburg College. Then after World War II, one of their presidents essentially destroyed their football program because he hated the idea of big-time college athletics. And I think I'll reserve both of those subjects for their own videos, as then I can cover them more deeply. Fordham University dedicated a monument to the Seven Blocks of Granite in 2008. It specifically commemorates the 1929, 1930, and 1936 and 1937 lines. The Seven Blocks of Granite nickname is preserved yet today in college football. The Lombardi Award has been given to the best college lineman each season since 1971. When someone receives the Lombardi Award trophy, they are given a block of granite. And now you know the meaning behind it and the story of the Seven Blocks of Granite. Thank you for watching. Please consider joining me on Patreon, as I could use the support. This is John Johnston with Hardcore College Football History. Thank you. Anyone notice all the other nicknames in that video? Are nicknames just a thing of the past? They seem to be completely gone nowadays. And when you go back in the old newspapers and you read through the newspapers, it's like just about everybody had some kind of nickname. And I should do a nickname video. But then you probably have to gather them all, and there's just tons. And what's the most recent nicknames you can think of? Let me know in the comments. Thank you again. And thanks for your support so far.